Finally, school is done for 6 weeks and I'm back to making videos. Sorry it's been a long time, but I've just been really wanting to get through school and then make videos for you, but I'm not half-arsing because I can't be bothered. So today, I'll be recovering Final Wars Godzilla vs Monsterverse Godzilla, the debate that started my channel. For this, I'll be using canon in-film showings and statements, and some minor bonus material statements. I won't really be using a lot of that, so I will not be using the novelizations, as they have some iffy stuff, and there is some contradictions in some of the novels or some events in the film, so I'm not using them just to be on the safe side of this. So this is purely film versus film with some minor out of film statements. Mostly stuff that is relevant and makes sense, so no Monarch because that show isn't canon. Let's jump straight in with scaling Final Wars Godzilla, because he's pretty easy to scale. There's not a lot crazy stuff for him. As a baseline, he's said to be the strongest kaiju on Earth, so that should get him above all the fodders like Zilla and Rodan. That's kind of common sense based on the film anyway. This Godzilla is noted to have survived the Oxygen Destroyer, a multi-continental level weapon, which should get him to multi-continental as a baseline, if not higher. Later on in the film, we're introduced to Gigan. Why is this important? Well, it's noted that this version of Gigan can solo the Final Wars versus humanity. This versus humanity is notable as they believe they could destroy the planet Gorath if they fired all their weapons at it. Now obviously Gorath was a lie, but when shown the hologram of Earth being destroyed entirely by Gorath, they believe they can destroy said planet if they use all their weapons. This would get this versus humanity to small planet level if not higher, and Gigan can solo this version of humanity. So logically that would get Gigan into the small planet ranges, but you could lowball this to multi-continental, but for consistency I'm going to say small planet ranges of power for Final Wars Gigan. And when he fights Final Wars Godzilla, he is literally one-shot by him. A one-shot usually means a 10 times power difference, which should get Final Wars at his base into planetary. He then proceeds to destroy a bunch of fodder kaiju, and that is kinda where any notable AP scaling for him ends. As for speed, he is shown to be able to dodge Rodan, who moves at supersonic speeds. This should get Final Wars into the supersonic ranges of movement speed. However, when he sees the real Gorath, he is able to perceive it as slow, which should get him to massively hypersonic in terms of reaction speed, if not even higher. However, we can get him to speed of light since he can clearly react to Monster X's gravity beams, which were obviously made of gravity particles. So in conclusion, base Final Wars for AP is planet level, and for speed, he is speed of light, if not a bit higher than that. Now we get to Monsterverse Godzilla, and his base scaling is pretty good. In Godzilla Awakening, he tanks the Permian Impact, which is a multi-continental level event. So, kinda weird how for base versus base, they both get to multi-continental in their beginnings. It's just a thing I noticed. In Godzilla Aftershock, he was confirmed stronger than Prime. Using seismic energy calculations, Muto Prime should be continental if not higher, and given her relativity to Monsterverse Godzilla even being able to beat him, Muto Prime should get into multi-continental ranges of AP, though with the higher end character-based Monsterverse you could get her higher. Godzilla, after losing his dorsals, was basically able to one-shot Prime. This would get base Monsterverse Godzilla to moon level. In Godzilla Kingdom Monsters, he was able to fight Monster Zero pretty well, but was clearly shown to be weaker than him in his base state. Ghidorah is a confirmed planet destroyer, and since he wasn't one-shotting Godzilla and Godzilla was able to hurt him, Godzilla should be into planet level, but you could also argue small planet would be more consistent. Then all his other stuff is when he's amped in King of the Monsters, so I'm not going to use it. In GVK, his only impressive stuff is upscaling Rodan and kaiju like that, but his main feat from the movie is the Hollow Earth Breath. This feat by itself is like small country level, but given the atomic breath is able to affect atoms, this would get it all the way up to small planet level, adding further consistency to his small planet level base. As for speed scaling, he is able to blitz Kong in speed. Kong is able to perceive and react to his atomic breath, which travels to 85% the speed of light, so Godzilla should reach relativistic plus speed. Now to address Godzilla having similar readings to Hollow Earth. Monarch, Legacy of Monsters is not canon to the Monsterverse, and so any info from that show should not be taken as solid canon. There are many reasons it's not canon. Stop using these Hollow Earth readings and stop saying it's not canon only to use info from the show. So in conclusion, for base versus base, Final Wars Godzilla gets AP scaling at planet level, and his speed scaling gets the speed of light if not higher. And for base Monsterverse, his AP scaling a small planet, You can argue planet level, but small planet is more consistent for him, and as for speed, he reaches relativistic plus. So in conclusion, Final Wars outperforms legendary Godzilla in both ways and is stronger, but he would definitely struggle, but it should come out on top with high difficulty. So with the winner of the base versus base decided, let's say we amp legendary. Now we can use feats from Supercharged Ancient Godzilla, Boston Godzilla, and France Godzilla. Supercharged Ancient Godzilla was able to beat Monsterverse and give him permanent scars, which should now get him to Planetary as a base. As Boston Goji, he was also confirmed to be winning on the winning side of the fight with Ghidorah until Monsterverse amped himself. This should get amped MV up to planet level now, and probably higher as he shows the ability to beat and injure planet level kaiju. So even though he would still get speed blitz, any hits of Final Wars would now do significant damage, and I would say amped MV would be able to beat Final Wars with high to mid difficulty. Now Final Wars can get stronger as he fights, but he'd probably get beaten before he could. So now we have amp legendary versus Final Wars with his amp, Heavenly Godzilla. Heavenly Godzilla is shown to be a notable amp to Final Wars, and is his only real amp, but it's a good one. He faces Kaiser Ghidorah in this state and practically one-shots him, so how powerful is Kaiser Ghidorah? To start off with, Kaiser Ghidorah was able to beat base Final Wars with no difficulty. Kaiser Ghidorah should immediately be planet based off this, but given his decimating Final Wars, he should get into large planet, given that one shot of the gravity beam pretty much puts him out of commission. However, thanks to a newer statement, we know Kaiser Ghidorah has around cosmic level of firepower, which usually is used to refer to star level kaiju. So Kaiser Ghidorah is around star level and Heavenly Godzilla one-shots him. Yeah, so Heavenly Godzilla should get into large star ranges of power, and now he's able to react to Kaiser Ghidorah's beams easily and should get into FDL level of speed. But could Monsterverse Godzilla match his AP or speed in any form? Well, let's start with base evolved Godzilla, who really doesn't show any evidence of getting stronger other than being stated two times as strong as base, which should still keep him in the planet level of AP. As for speed, he still has no feat of speed to get him into the level of Heavenly Godzilla. Now Supercharged Evolved might actually get a bit higher, as he is 20 times stronger than base Monsterverse Godzilla, who we already discussed is small planet. This should get Supercharged Evolved to at least large planetary, but it's still not enough. This state is said to be almost even to Shimo, who is a confirmed planet destroyer, and since Godzilla did seem to have the upper hand, the large planet level AP remains consistent, but he would still be one shot by Heavenly Godzilla with no difficulty. So what about Thermonuclear Godzilla? Well, Thermo Godzilla is able to no-cell attacks from an amped Ghidorah, who is said to gotten 100 times stronger than his Storm, which is large country level. So amped Ghidorah gets into large star level. This is pretty even AP to Heavenly Final Wars, and Thermo was able to no-cell his attacks and kill him with just 3 pulses. Well, 3 pulses and a beam to the neck. And so, we have our answer. Legendary Godzilla would ultimately come out on top in his thermonuclear state, but Heavenly Godzilla would easily beat every form. Base Final Wars can beat base Legendary, but loses to Amp Legendary / Evolved Godzilla. This is editing guy here. I'm editing, and I was just gonna say how in the base vs base scenario, you can easily argue MV to be on par with Final Wars. But there is a key difference in that Final Wars gets stronger as he fights, whereas Legendary gets actively weaker as he fights. So even if you argue them the same level, if not MV a bit higher, he would still get speed blitzed, and Final Wars can get stronger as he fights anyway, as proven Monster X. So in a base vs base battle, you can argue Legendary could win, but I would say Final Wars because he has more consistent planet level, whereas MV is more small planet if anything. The speed blitz of Final Wars, and they're getting stronger as he fights. However, Heavenly Final Wars could be Amp Legendary, Base Evolved, and Supercharged Evolved, but then Thermo would ultimately beat Heavenly. I hope you guys enjoyed this new way of making versus videos. I decided the battle analysis was kind of stupid, and so wanted to re-tackle this subject in a more logical way with the new information from Godzilla x Kong. Join me next time for Muto Prime vs Kong. Until then, bye everyone.
Slap this innocent baby for